6. December 2021. When's your birthday? June 7th. Gemini, I knew it. You don't actually believe in that shit, do you? Well, if you want to believe in me, you've got to get into it a bit, she laughed. You've got to love me for all my pissy little quirks. I suppose I'm not one to dictate on reality. If I can blame the more unsavoury traits of my personality on the way the stars were when I was born, I'll do it. Fine, I'll bite. What are you? Libra, she said proudly. Balanced, just, an even pairing. And nothing unsavoury, right? In those first few months together, Lydia would visit him in his Erskineville flat, above the coffee house that became a makeshift jazz bar in the evenings. Locrian could not help but feel a little embarrassed by the cheap paint of his rented walls, the propensity to rising damp, and the uncouth street noises of the weekend's drunkards. But Lydia preferred the solitude it provided them, and despite desiring to break free of his home after the pandemic lockdowns, Locrian felt in no position to resist any request from the icy love, the dusky angel that had entered his life. He feared that she might disappear at any moment. Such was her flighty charisma, that she might discover just how boring he was, and he was willing to overlook any and every imperfection she might harbour in her sylvan heart. They had enough in common to bond fast, and their disagreements made for great discussion. Both were adamant that Pink Floyd were a better group when Syd Barrett was there. And even though their most prolific work was released after the talismanic frontman had left, it was either inspired by or directly about him. Lydia didn't believe that Robert Smith would ever get around to releasing another album, to which Locrian rebutted. He said it exists, has a title and everything. Songs of a Lost World? Lost album, more like. Just because someone says something is real doesn't mean it is. He does this all the time. Every album from The Cure is the last one. Then it releases and the next one will be out in 6 or 7 months. It's a total cock tease. Their latest love had been St. Vincent, whose chameleon collage of music had them drawing comparisons to the late, great David Bowie. I'd say you even look like Annie Clark, he'd said. If you say so, Lydia shrugged. It was usually the same band in the cafe most Saturday nights, and boy and girl would leave the windows open to the dying year's breeze as serviceable renditions of old jazz standards rose to meet them. Miles Davis, Herbie Hancock, Wayne Shorter, and Lydia's favourite, John Coltrane's A Love Supreme. Locrian wistfully closed his eyes and listened as Lydia eyed him with a smile. I owe much of the music in my life to my dad, he had said. He's got like 1 million records. I'll be sure to thank him. He'd love this flat for that reason, dingy though it might be. He's never visited? I suppose not. Are you close to your family? They're around, she said. I should definitely make more effort. When he looked at her, he saw a full moon when he was ebb, she the wax to his wane. He would throw everything to her if he could, worship her, but he knew he shouldn't come on too strong. In so many ways he wanted to propound her as family. He could and would give her all that he had, but it wouldn't be what she'd want. Her Lydian harmony, his Locrian dissonance. He walked the high wires, yearning to drink of all she was, but afraid to know her better and shatter the illusion. For that first stage, anything was plausible. She could be perfect, Venus, and why not? They put their best selves at the centre stage of their courtship, where he performed his pathetic bowerbird waltz and presented desperate trinkets of affection while she watched with a magpie fascination. What was your childhood like? What did you want to be when you grew up? None of that mattered to them. Just she, Lydia, as she had always been, even before Lockie had known her, and he, with all his insecurity and anxiety, perfectly acceptable by the grace of her curiosity. Sharing the same work hours meant they'd meet together in the evenings and on weekends, but occasionally they'd take their lunch breaks at the same time and rendezvous in Hyde Park where, under the spires of St. Mary's Cathedral, they would converse amongst the filtered shadows of Weeping Fig. Most of the time the benches would be found occupied, and other office workers sprawled on the lawns, so the two of them would instead saunter in no particular direction, past gatherings of ibis, Lydia called them bin chickens, and street fundraisers, Lockie called them charity muggers. Both could prove as irritating as the other, but they had each other, she with her knack for scaring away the chuggers with wry remarks, while he would chase the birds until they flew, much to Lydia's chagrin of laughter mixed with cringing. Locrian wasn't afraid to unveil the mirthful side of his personality when in the company of a woman who gave him the time of day. And sure, bystanders might have stared, but the thrill of her smile was worth any blushes. "Is this how you usually impress the opposite sex?" she asked. "Just the ones who would listen," he quipped. "I could have had lunch with friends, but here I am watching a man-child chase birds." His heart leapt. He had meant to be humorous, but fretted now that he may have destroyed any shred of respect she might have developed for him. She held him in a state of despair that felt eternal, before finally softening. "Relax, Flat Five, I'm joking." Emboldened by the reprieve, he said, "You can call me by my name, you know." How could he be his authentic self and not risk deterring her? He could have just walked into the sea or had the ground swallow him up. And yet, to offer up an ideal forgery of appeal instead? No, that would be worse. He'd always been told that truth trumped any lie, and that any deception a man might present was found out in time. And how could he feel the love of another if he played a charlatan hiding his true self? He would have to continue the tightrope walk. It was Lydia's turn to lighten the mood. "Well, you told me your name is Locrian. I'll bet not many call you Flat Five. Most people wouldn't understand the connection." "Fine," she smiled. "Lockie." They had reached Archibald Fountain and sat upon its edge. Children ran about in the sunshine, trying to land themselves in the path of the fountain spray that blew with the light summer breeze. A busker played his guitar in the shade, pleading for coin with an impressive rendition of a Nick Drake song. "He can play," said Lydia. "These kids can too," replied Lockie. "Do you ever think other people just have more fun than you?" She pulled a strand of hair from her face. "Yeah, I think. When the sun is this bright and the end of the year is here, I think about whether I'm missing something, like how others seem to make friends easier than me, or that they might actually enjoy being with their families at Christmas, that the whole thing isn't just a complete emotional drag." The cathedral bells ran out the quarter hour and sent the ibis and a few seagulls into flight. "I've been trying to be more open to new people," said Locrian. "You know, since the lockdowns ended. It was a long time to be alone. I worry that I won't keep up any sort of momentum, that you'll just see me sink into my usual boring self and won't want anything to do with me." Lydia put her hand on his knee. "You're clearly an emotional person, Lockie. I look at you and I don't see anything fake. I see someone who does in fact want to be seen, even though you're pretty reserved." Lockie felt maudlin on a sudden. "I should just get a grip. You're so amazing. I just want to be good enough. I've never had a woman give me this sort of attention, actually approach me. I'm not used to it, I guess. In my head, I suppose I've been with a lot of women. I tend to fall in love with any girl who even looks at me. But this is different, and I'm trying hard not to hide away in my shell." "But you're worried I'm not going to like you? That's silly. I already said I could have had lunch with friends instead. I choose to come here because I like being around you." "I get what you mean, though. I think I probably mould myself to whatever suitable personality might suit a guy I'm with. When I'm myself, they say I'm just pretentious." "Well, I hope your true self is the kind of person who'd willfully be around a guy like me." She laughed. "What have they called me? Manic pixie? Dream girl? Shit like that. I was manic long before those terms even existed." "Now that's pretentious," laughed Lockie. Lydia leaned over and kissed his cheek. "That's me. And you shouldn't be so hard on yourself." "I'll keep being me if you keep being you." "Deal, Flat Five." Lockie, I mean.